I feel in my heart that we put our health last. We put our health last because we put family and work first. We have to have work in order to truly take care of our family. But then at the end of the day, our family winds up taking care of us because we've neglected ourselves. Is that true, or is that a false statement, Babatunde?
That's true.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that I enjoyed about your program when we first had it, your wives or female friends,
yes,
had to be present.
Yes.
Because women push us quite hard.
Yes.
But if they don't know, they can't push us. So that was one of the requirements that he had at his first one.
Yes.
And everyone after that. So it worked out quite well by having them there.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, no one does investigation better than a woman. All right. And I'm pretty sure there's some men laughing about that. No one do investigation better than a woman. This is Dr. Rodney Duckett with the Lively Art of Conversation, where we live, we learn, we earn, my goodness, and we pass it along. Tune in and listen to us every Sunday from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. as we give you our story with the Lively Art of Conversation. Good. Did I say good? Good Sunday morning. It is your community facilitator, your cultural enthusiast, that guy that's in the community doing what we do best, trying to build our community. It is a lively art of conversation where we live, we learn, we earn. My goodness, we're going to pass some wisdom along today. I keep saying that I have a phenomenal show, but I got an ultra special guest today, and you're going to find out in just a little bit. For you guys that's just tuning in for the Lively Art of Conversation, this is your show. This is your show. One of the things we lack in our community is that good, solid advice and wisdom. I come from an era where I literally sat at the feet for men that were truly Superman. Not just some white guy with a S on his chest. I'm talking about like real men. So today I got a real man for you. But before we do that, I got to give a shout out to the people that make this show possible. My underwriters. If you're thinking about being an underwriter, or if you have an ad that you want to put out, a new book, or you have an event that's coming out, or if you're a nonprofit, reach out to me because I got specials right here for you. If you're a nonprofit, definitely talk to me because I do something very special for my nonprofits that's out there. So let's take it off with my underwriters.
This is Lavina Sabri with So Natural Catering and Bomb A Lemonade, and you're listening to the Lively Art of Conversation.
Hello. This is Rodney Duckett with the Lively Art of Conversation. As we live, we learn, we earn, and we pass that wisdom along. Join us every Sunday from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. as we bring to you our story. You bring your story, we give you our story, and our story is how we engage in our community. Everybody has a story, and we're waiting to hear your story. So if you're interested, reach out to us at livelyartofconversation@gmail.com.
Looking to elevate your brand or capture unforgettable moments? New Image Media offers top-tier videography, photography, personal branding, and more. They combine creativity and quality with fair pricing and friendly service so you get the results you want. Whether it's a business promo or special occasion, they bring your vision to life with quality you can trust. Choose New Image Media, where your image is everything. For more info, email media@newimagemiallc.com. Words have power. They connect, heal, and inspire. That's the mission at Better Watch Your Tone, LLC, founded by Toni B. Shelton. She's empowering through powerful poetry and prose, with hundreds impacted through speaking events, workshops, and 8 self-published books. Ready to honor the story within? Discover books and coaching at betterwatchyourtone.com. For event poetry or book writing support, email ToniShelton@gmail.com. Let's use our words to uplift. Better watch your tone. You've built a life worth celebrating. Now it's time to be seen. At Las Foto de Lance Photography, they don't just take portraits, they capture the fire in your spirit and the power in your presence. Whether you're reclaiming your confidence, owning your story, or stepping into a new chapter, Las Foto de Lance Photography creates luxury images that reflect the real you. Visit lasfotodelance.net or drop by their Harker Heights studio. Las Foto de Lance Photography, unapologetically you, immortalized.
Hello, this is Dr. Rodney Duckett with the Heritage Legacy Curators. You're looking for something for your kids to do this summer? Well, reach out to me at Impact Outreach, IMPAC Outreach at gmail.com, because Heritage Legacy Curators is all about collecting oral history. So if you have stories that you would love to pass down to your kids, or if you have a project that maybe your kids need to do as it relates to oral history, bring those family albums out and we'll sit there and we'll sort through those family albums, so that way we can collect those stories and keep those stories within the family, so that way they can be the next speakers to curate your family reunion. You're back with the lively art of conversation, where you live, you learn, you earn. My goodness, you pass along. I am your host, the community facilitator, Dr. Rodney Duckett. And this is a wonderful show that I have for you. Like I do with every show, I want you to pull out your journal. It's very important for you to pull out your journal. You want to know why? Because you're getting ready to write some stuff down. The word of the week is wisdom. That's right, wisdom. This is a word sometimes that is loosely used. But I want you to think of this quote when it comes to wisdom. Wisdom is all about the applied application that we apply every day based off of past experiences. That's the quote. So think about that for a minute, and let's understand what wisdom is. Wisdom is based off applied application, period. You take your experiences from your successes and your failure and you move it forward. When a father talks to his son, he gives him wisdom based off of his past experiences. Some of them may be success and others may be failure. But keep in mind, I want you to think about this question here. How have you embraced your wisdom? And are you truly passing your wisdom along to the younger generation, even sometimes the older generation? Because I truly believe that the older generation has the ability to be the bridge over troubled water, while the younger generation has the ability to keep the older generation in tune with the younger generation's struggles and fights. Because the struggles and fights never change, okay? It just reappears a little bit differently at times. So that brings me to arguably one of the wisest men that I know. Now, let me set the stage in the background, because this stage and background is probably familiar for a lot of you guys. You landed here, right here, not on Plymouth Rock, but you landed in Killeen, Texas. And when you landed in Killeen, Texas, you were probably looking for something to do in the community. Didn't know what to do, but you heard something. Hey, you probably should travel down to this bookstore called Under One Roof. And you're saying, what the heck is an Under One Roof? But you begin to hear the momentum. Have you met Mr. Babatunde? Have you met different things that he's doing in the community? You begin to hear things about his version of Christmas and his version of Black Claus. You begin to hear about the events that he has going on with the Poetry Slam and the natural hair weeks that he has that's there. You begin to hear about the things that he's doing for the community. So you find yourself in this store. And then when you walk in the store, you greet it like he knew you all your life, like he raised you. So I remember my experience when I walked into the store. He says, "Hello, my name is Babatunde. It'll be a pleasure to serve you." And for me, that just stood with me forever, because at that time, there was a lot of people in the store, but in the busy hour that he had, he took that one moment to let me know he was here to serve me. And my God, he's been serving me for about 25 years. So ladies and gentlemen, you already know who I got on this show. You already know I could not do a show without the foundation that I stand on. Ladies and gentlemen, you might want to deny him. You might want to disagree with him. You might even want to turn your back from him. But at the end of the day, we all grew up in under one roof. Ladies and gentlemen, to whom you give your money, to whom you give your power. My special ultra guest today is Babatunde.
Well, thank you so much. Greetings to all, and a special thanks to Dr. Duckett for inviting me to this very special event today. as an advocate for prostate cancer, specifically in African American men, and many other subjects that we will probably talk about. For you that don't know me, I'm Mr. Babatunde. I'm a retired Army First Sergeant with 24 years of active duty, a Vietnam veteran and Desert Storm vet, and previous co-owner with my wife, Mrs. Johnny, may she rest in power, of Under One Roof African American Bookstore and Culture Shop, of Copper's Cove and Colleen. For all you that don't know me, keep it to yourselves. Before I talk about my journey with prostate cancer, let me first share the journey all of you brothers should be on.
And I appreciate you for coming out here today, because Babatunde there's so much that surrounds the man who he is, and this is Men's Health Month, by the way. So Babatunde is going to share a little bit about his journey as far as his health, and then things that we may or may not know about him.
All right. Well, African American men have a significantly higher risk of developing prostate cancer and are more likely to die from it compared to white men. They are also more likely to be diagnosed with more aggressive forms of prostate cancer at later stages. Here's a more detailed breakdown. Black men have the highest incidence of prostate cancer in the United States. They are more likely to be diagnosed with prostate cancer at every stage of the disease. Black men are more likely to die from prostate cancer, with mortality rates nearly double those of white men. Early diagnosis and progression. Black men are more likely to be diagnosed with prostate cancer at a younger age and with more aggressive disease. They have a higher risk of their prostate cancer progressing to metastatic disease. Underlying factors: social economic factors, racial disparities in healthcare access, truth in the medical system, and lower socioeconomic status may contribute to differences in outcomes. Genetic factors. Research suggests that certain genetic mutations may predispose black men to prostate cancer. Environmental factors, diet and other lifestyle factors may also play a role. Treatment disparities. Black men are less likely to receive certain treatments, including surgery, compared to white men. Recommendations. Early screening. The African Cancer Society recommends that black men discuss PSA testings with their doctors starting at age 45. I always say you can start at 35 as well. Yes. Increase awareness. Raising awareness about prostate cancer risks and early detection is crucial for black men. Addressing barriers to care. Efforts to improve health care access and trust are needed to ensure that black men receive timely and appropriate care. Further research is needed to understand the underlying causes of racial disparities in prostate cancer and develop target interventions. Black men and African American men are much more likely to develop prostate cancer, as I said. 1 in 6 black men will develop prostate cancer in his lifetime, compared to 1 in 8 men overall. Black men are 1.7 times more likely to be diagnosed, with 2.1 times more likely to die from prostate cancer than white men. Now I'll go into my journey. Let me find it here.
And I want everybody to realize, this being Men's Health Month, Babatunde is bringing in his experience, which he's going to tell you about. And what we're trying to do here for all you men that's out here is, let's go ahead and get that PMCS done. And if you're military, you know what that means. It's time for you to get that checkup that's done. Yes, the checkup you don't want. Yes, the intrusive, violating checkup that we run from. It is time to do that. So Babatunde is going to tell you a little bit about his journey and what he had to battle with.
Okay. All right. Okay, now my journey with prostate cancer. Before I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in April of 23 at 75 years old, I assumed that I did everything possible to prevent it. I understood that prostate cancer was a major disease for black men, for many different reasons. One of the major reasons that I heard too often is that black men just do not go to the doctor, which is true to a certain extent, but you very seldom hear that about men of other races. There are other factors in why we do not go as well, which is unfortunate, but there is a large number of that cannot afford to go because in too many cases they do not have insurance or money to pay for it outright. But for your information, the free clinics, they offer many different programs, and prostate cancer checkups are one of them. I was diagnosed with Gleason 8 prostate cancer in April of 23. I had a urologist in Houston from 2010 to 2023. I first noticed that I had blood in my urine in 2020. I immediately made an appointment with my urologist. At my first appointment, my prostate-specific antigen, PSA, or protein produced by normal as well as malignant cells of the prostate gland. The PSA test measured the level of PSA in the blood. At that time, my reading was 2.3. After the urine test came back, he recommended I be put on antibiotics for 14 days. After the 14 days, my urine no longer had blood. Unfortunately, a couple of weeks after it returned. I go back, and he puts me on stronger antibiotics for 21 days. Those did not work as well. I go back with the same problem, but it's worse. He then did a bladder test by going through the penile area, which was very painful during and after. Nothing was found positive after the results came back. The next procedure he performed was a shockwave lithotripsy for a very, very small kidney stone, he said. It is a procedure that uses shock waves to break up stones in the kidneys, which was a painful procedure. Still nothing positive. No stone was found at all. All of this happened between 2019 and 2021. Months after that, in 2022, I noticed that semen, which I volunteered to give him a sample, had also had blood as well in my urine. During a 3-year time frame, my PSA ticked up to 4. I was concerned, but he said he would monitor it closely. That should have been my alarm, but I trusted him. Message, trust, but verify with the second opinion. Throughout testing, he never did the digital tests at all, only blood tests for PSAs. That should have been another warning for me, but I trusted him. In the early part of 2023, my PSA ticked up again to 6.3 in March of 2023. 1 week after that, he performed a prostate biopsy, which was very painful during and afterwards. 17 samples was taken from my prostate, one piece at a time. Quite painful. After the results came back, I was diagnosed with Gleason 8 prostate cancer in April of 2023. Gleason 8 is advanced prostate cancer, but not metastasized or has not spread yet, but very close to spreading to other parts of the body. I immediately asked him, how could that happen after being under his care for so many years? He looked through my medical records and said that he should have done more when my PSA was at a 4. When he said that, I knew that I needed a second opinion. I had an appointment a week later with a urologist that was recommended by my PCP. The first thing he did was the digital test, and he immediately said that I had advanced prostate cancer that was close to spreading just by feeling my prostate. He said, son, you need to have radiation treatments as soon as possible. Prior to my radiation treatments, I was given an injection of Lupron. Lupron depot treatment is called medical castration. It's a type of hormone therapy for advanced prostate cancer. It works by lowering the amount of testosterone, which the cancer feeds on, in a person's body, which helps slow the growth of cancer cells. The major side effects are minor growth of the breasts, hot flashes, and in many cases, your sexual activities are no longer possible. I will share a little story with you. When I was given the Lupron injection, it was by a female nurse, and I asked her what were some of the side effects. She laughed and said, "Now you will know what we go through." Well, it did not take long for me to understand her message. I woke up in the middle of the night soaking wet. It was a hot flash. Within a week of my diagnosis, I started radiation treatment for 45 days. The radiation is really not damaging to the body because the doses were very small. However, it can increase frequency and urgency of urination following radiation. Fortunately, they have medications that can now control the urine frequency, but the side effects are terrible. The worst part of the radiation is prepping for it for 45 days, 5 days a week. You must have clean bowels, no gas, no diarrhea, no constipation, and a full bladder each morning. Think about that for a moment.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the techs were very friendly and helpful. They told me how to regulate my bowel movements with Smooth Move for constipation, which can give you diarrhea, and for diarrhea, constipation pills, which can give you constipation. It's a real balancing act. After making it through 45 days of radiation treatment, I had to wait another 3 months before another PSA test to see if the radiation therapy made a difference. I was hoping for a low PSA reading or no number at all. If the radiation therapy doesn't work, the next step would be chemotherapy infusions. However, after 3 months, on 10/03/23, my PSA was 0.1 and my testosterone was undetectable, which meant that the cancer was in remission. Yeah, that's on that other phone over there. Yeah. It is being checked every 3 months, and so far, it's still in remission. My main purpose of telling you all of this is to say it's okay to trust your doctor, but verify.
Wow.
Research everything you can find on prostate cancer. You have to be an advocate for your own health. I also want you to know that prostate cancer is nothing to play with or ignore. The different medications, procedures, and treatments can be very painful. You can avoid all of them just by getting your health checkups. I thank all of you for participating, and please tell a friend.
Wow, that is powerful. You heard that on the Lively Art of Conversation, where you live, you earn, you learn, and you pass it along. And we'll be right back.
Words have power. They connect, heal, and inspire. That's the mission at Better Watch Your Tone, LLC, founded by Toni B. Shelton. She's empowering through powerful poetry and prose, with hundreds impacted through speaking events, workshops, and 8 self-published books. Ready to honor the story within? Discover books and coaching at betterwatchyourtone.com. For event poetry or book writing support, email ToniShelton@gmail.com. Let's use our words to uplift. Better watch your tone. You've built a life worth celebrating. Now it's time to be seen. At Las Foto de Lance Photography, they don't just take portraits, they capture the fire in your spirit and the power in your presence. Whether you're reclaiming your confidence, owning your story, or stepping into a new chapter, Las Foto de Lance Photography creates luxury images that reflect the real you. Visit lasfotodelance.net or drop by their Harker Heights studio. Las Foto de Lance Photography, unapologetically you, immortalized. Looking to elevate your brand or capture unforgettable moments? New Image Media offers top-tier videography, photography, personal branding, and more. They combine creativity and quality with fair pricing and friendly service so you get the results you want. Whether it's a business promo or special occasion, they bring your vision to life with quality you can trust. Choose New Image Media, where your image is everything. For more info, email media@newimagemiallc.com.
This is Dr. Rodney Duckett with the Heritage Legacy Curators. You're looking for something for your kids to do this summer? Well, reach out to me at Impact Outreach, IMPAC outreach@gmail.com, because Heritage Legacy Curators is all about collecting oral history. So if you have stories that you would love to pass down to your kids, or if you have a project that maybe your kids need to do as it relates to oral history, bring those family albums out and we'll sit there and we'll sort through those family albums, so that way we can collect those stories and keep those stories within the family, so that way they can be the next speakers to curate your family reunion. Hey, we're back with the Lively Art of Conversation. I am here with the legend himself, Babatunde. And Babatunde is talking about his life, but most importantly, his experience that he had here over the last few years as it relates to prostate cancer. You know, this is Men's Health Month, and we're trying to get you men to go in to see your PCP. It's very important for you to see your PCP, and Babatunde is giving you some great advice. He says it's okay for you to have a PCP, but once you get that diagnosis, it's always better to go out and get a second opinion with that. And I like to say, you know, I am glad that you handled this very aggressive, sir. Many times when people get news, especially news like cancer, they give up. And I see it so many times in the healthcare industry. But what has amused me along the way is you done this with not a whole lot of people knowing about your struggle. You were still showing up at events. You were still seeing people. You were still attending funerals and weddings and being where you need to be. And the whole time you were going through this. That is amazing. That's a testament of not just you. We use the word leader a lot. And leader is, to me, is about someone that has the gifts and the talents that lives by the action and the means of their actual word. And the one thing that I've learned about you is if you say something, it's done. So, and I do appreciate that, because you showing up at a lot of different places with you going through this, and me finding out about this later on. I was actually doing a prostate event, and we wind up talking. He's like, hey, I've been through that.
And I want to be an advocate.
And I said, when'd you go through that? He told me this exact same story. What's your message to men right now that might be like, you know what, I'm not going through that. You know, I'm going to pray on it, and you know, I'm going to just, it's going to ignore me. So what is your message to the men out there?
I like to say, don't just pray, take action.
Yes.
Okay? Don't just talk, take action. Don't just complain, take action.
Yes.
It can save your life.
Yeah. I mean, the action that you take, sometimes it's just showing up to your PCP, making an appointment. You should get everything done. Like if you're around the age of 35 and you're African American, colorectal PSA, get it done. Many times our fathers, believe it or not, hide stuff from us. They hide stuff from us because we have this thing that happens in the black community that we just sometimes don't want to burden people with our problems. But like I said, it's all about wisdom. And it's your time to pass that wisdom along. My father himself, he's been battling prostate cancer. He called it at a very low level. I think he was about a 4 or something like that. And he went very aggressive with it. So, and he's got the radiation and stuff like that. And he's on the medication that he needs. But we talked about that. We had several different conversations as it related to that. And sometimes it's kind of hard, you know, being the little son. But now you have to turn around and like encourage your old man to, hey, you need to go get checked out. You know, you need to go get checked out. And I appreciate the fact that we're having these conversations as it relates to just men's health in general. So word of advice for men that's out there. Word of advice. I feel in my heart that we put our health last. We put our health last because we put family and work first. We have to have work in order to truly take care of our family. But then at the end of the day, you know, our family winds up taking care of us because we've neglected ourselves. Is that true, or is that a false statement, Babatunde?
That's true.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that I enjoyed about your program when we first had it, your wives or female friends had to be present.
Yes.
Because women push us quite hard.
Yes.
But if they don't know, they can't push us. So that was one of the requirements that he had at his first one.
Yes.
And everyone after that. So it worked out quite well by having them there.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, no one does investigation better than a woman. All right. And I'm pretty sure there's some men laughing about that. No one do investigation better than a woman. Trust me. Women know everything about you. If they can't, they can find out everything about you. So I love the fact, my job where I'm at the hospital, and I've actually seen people before in the community, and they bring their wives in, and their wives are standing over my shoulder, wanting to see what I'm writing down, wanting to make sure that I put this in their records, wanting to understand what this lab is about. And that doesn't even irritate me. I'm glad that they do that, because it's about being the connoisseur of your own care, and that's what we should be. I am a practitioner, meaning that I practice medicine. But your significant other, she knows your aches, your pains, your belly, everything that goes on. So it's very important for you to have a system like that. And the worst thing that I've always found out when men go to the hospital by themselves, they can't remember nothing. They can't remember the medication they on. They can't remember if they had a colonoscopy. There's things that they just cannot remember. Oh, my wife is not here. She knows all of this, because women are like the human recorder. I think whoever writes history got to be women, because no one can record history like a woman. They'll make you'll never forget stuff. You'll never forget a birthday, because they'll remind you they got a birthday that's coming up, so that's what they do. Let's transition for a moment, and let's talk about a different form of community health that you've done. And the community health that you've done is under one roof, because that was by far one of the greatest mental health moments that our communities ever had, because it was that one place, that Mecca, that we can go to always receive love, knowledge, and wisdom. And a lot of discipline and schooling along the way. I by far had my days, where I was getting chewed out and upset about some things. But you don't know how that has impacted the community. And although Under One Roof does not have a physical building anymore, you are still under one roof. You are the energy. When you walk into the room, people point, and say, that's Babatunde, under one roof. And you see them moving and gravitating to you to still sit at your feet and still learn. You are by far a walking healer in a sense, whether you believe it or not. And when you evoke the name of Babatunde out there, you cannot deny the fact that Babatunde has changed people's lives. How does that make you feel?
Well, being gone for 14 years, as I said, a lot of people I've said this to, I closed the business down. A lot of people didn't know. I closed it down to be with my daughter and my grandson. She was a single parent, and she was trying to get her career together in education, and I didn't want to lose him. So we closed the store, and we moved to Houston. It took him for about 8 years, to let her get her career together. She's now Dr. Jones. She got her doctorate degree. She's a deputy superintendent out in Longview Independent School District now. And my grandson, at 20 years old, he's in his second year at Morehouse, studying medicine, biology. He wants to be a doctor. So the sacrifice was worth it, even though, believe me, it was one of the hardest decisions I ever made, closing that store. But it was necessary for me to be with them.
Yes.
And it worked out, And like I said, in 2023, my wife passed, and I was diagnosed with prostate about 2-3 weeks prior to her passing.
Oh, man.
Yes. And so, I was there by myself, and I stayed almost a year there by myself. I did pretty well as far as taking care of myself. I got into cooking, I like to cook. So every Saturday and Sunday I would cook dinner on Sundays, and on Saturdays breakfast for the week. And but I knew that Colleen is where I needed to be. And I made the decision to come back. And after 14 years, I was totally in awe with what they did for me. They gave me a homecoming.
Yes.
After 14 years.
Yes.
Close to 300 people were there.
Yes.
And it was just unreal. It was really overwhelming to see that, And what I got out of it is that there were a lot of people that heard me, but they weren't listening when I was here. Mm-hmm. But once I left for those many years, even though I came back periodically, did different events and things, they began to understand there was no voice. My voice had left. There were no other voice here. Mm-hmm. And they remember those commercials that I had on television, all of them. Even the younger ones come up to me even now and said, I was a kid, but I remember to whom you give your money is to whom you give your power, and things like that makes me understand that I did the right thing. Even though there were a lot of opposition to what I was doing, the one thing, Ron, that I convinced myself, there was nothing my people could do to me that was going to make me stop loving them.
Man, that's powerful.
You follow me? And that's how I made it through so many years. I mean, there was some real tough times there. They even put me on the no. I don't tell this to everybody.
Yeah, I
think I've told.
Yeah, you did.
They put me on the no-fly. They wouldn't give me a loan. Not that I asked for one. They wanted to know where I was getting my money from. They would send undercover police through the store, just checking, like I didn't know who they were,
Wow.
And things of that nature. I got threats, I had the gang members here in Killeen because they used to come to the store. It was a neutral location. And I'd have them talking to each other and not hurting each other, If they needed jobs, I found them jobs.
Yes.
And so they got into this habit of protecting me. They would call me every day, Mr. Babatunde, everything all right? They would come by on weekends. Mr. Babatunde, is everything all right? Even though I had a pistol in my desk, all right? But really, I got quite a few, things of that nature. But it never stopped.
Yeah.
I was unapologetically unafraid of it, because I knew what I was doing was right.
Yeah. And there's a couple of stories that's kind of stood with me. But before I mention one of the stories, for people that don't know what the meaning of Babatunde is, can you tell them what that means?
Yes, I can. I chose the name. Let me start out like this. I had a mentorship group for young black men between the ages of 5 and 13. And it was called Building Children Instead of Repairing Men and Women, which was a Frederick Douglass quote.
Yes.
So by me doing that, I'm studying Yoruba religion, trying to find different religions that I would like to be a part of outside of the European psychology. You follow me? And so the Yoruba tribe, which is out of Nigeria, and I was going across names one day. I had books, with names. And I saw the name Babatunde, and it meant the father returns, or the return of the father. And that's exactly what I was doing with those young men, teaching them how to become better fathers. So automatically I said, this is the name I want to choose. And every time I heard Babatunde, it told me my mission. It told me what I had to do. And even today, when I hear the name Babatunde, it tells me what I'm supposed to be doing.
Wow, the return of the father. Father returns.
And to the home.
To the home. And this reminds me of this story. If you can tell it to us very briefly. You had a young man that tried to break into your store.
Oh,
yeah. And tell them the story of how that went down and the relationship that spawned after that.
Oh, you remember that?
Yes, I do.
That was in Copper's Cove, actually.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that was in Copper's Cove. He had came down to stay with his sister. He was having trouble in Chicago. Okay? A young man. He's about 13, 14 years old at the time. And so I kind of, he would come to the store and he'd look around. So one morning, we get a call from the police department that someone had broken in the store. And so I go to the store, and I look across the street. It was a Malcolm X cap and a cane. And he was standing across the street watching the whole process, as the police was there. So they asked me, was that my, material he had? I said, yes. So they wanted to press charges against him. I wouldn't allow that. I said no. Actually never received the things back that he'd taken because the police had confiscated them.
Yes.
And never saw him again. But at any rate, I took him under my wings. And I carried this kid to every meeting. Everything I did, he was there with me. Went to school with him, and, I even had classes with some of the young men,
Yes.
And unfortunately, he went back to Chicago, and he got killed. I don't know if you knew that part of the story.
I didn't know that part.
Yes, he was killed up there, and that was the end of that story. But I just wish he had stayed. He was doing quite well, but he just wanted to go back and visit family, and that's what happened to him.
Wow.
A very sad ending, but I know he had possibilities, and that told me that those kids out there have possibilities. They just need someone that will talk to them, believe in them, and talk positivity to them.
Yes.
Which we don't do well as a people.
No, we don't.
I'd say it's like a battery in a car. And there's a positive cable and there's a negative. If you're going to say something negative, let's say something positive.
Yes.
Hopefully most positive, because it won't run if both cables aren't running properly.
Oh, yes, that's true.
See, they'll tell you, well, an alternator can run it for a little while, but that's not the same. You follow me?
No, it's not. It's not
the same. So I try to teach now, when someone says something negative, you got to say something positive. Man. You got to. I mean, I don't care who it is, when it is, I will tell you that.
Wow. You are watching The Lively Art of Conversation, where we live, we learn, we earn, and we pass it along. We'll be right back.
This is Babatunde. I'm listening to The Lively Art of Conversation. To whom you give your money is to whom you give your power.
Hey, we're back with The Lively Art of Conversation. Live, learn, earn, and pass it along. I am here with Babatunde, and he's dropping gems. It's all about Men's Health Month, but let me tell you something. Men's health is about our health, but it's also about the health of our sons and also the health of our community, too, because the Father has returned, and it's the return of the Father. Babatunde is here, and he's dropping those gems. As we begin to round out the show a little bit, Babatunde, is there anything on your heart and mind that you want to say to the community, to the people? I know our community right now has been going through a lot of turmoil. And there's a lot of infighting and a lot of bickering. As the father of the community, and I can honestly say that's what you are. I'm not trying to offend anybody out there, but he is the father of the community. What is your worldly advice that you would give our community?
Well, one of the things I quote is an African proverb. It says, when a man or woman is coming towards you, you need not say, come here. Those are the ones we first have to embrace.
Yes.
Because they're coming towards us because they want to. The ones that don't want to, hopefully they will see what the ones are doing and follow through as well. Unfortunately, we spend too much time on a small percentage of our people doing negative things. But we need to talk about the ones that's doing the positive things. We have to begin to do that. We're in a time that I, believe it or not, my first 10 years of life, I was in North Carolina, and I was living during Jim Crow during that time. We went there at 3. I was 3 years old when I went there, and I left at 10. And between those ages, I got to experience what Jim Crow was really like.
Yes.
The theaters we couldn't go to properly. You couldn't go into restaurants. You couldn't go. It had colored signs for water, bathrooms, and I was always a curious kid. I wanted to know why. And my mother would always say, shh, shh, shh. And I always asked her, she would call them by their first name, Mr. the kids, children.
Yes,
and they would call her by her first name. And I said, how is that possible when we have to do the opposite? You follow me?
Yes.
Why do they have the opportunity to do the same? And you never really got strong answers. But living through that Jim Crow period, segregated schools, of course. All the books were little white kids, with picket fence and the clothes. And then they had a little Sambo there running around with a bone in his nose. And that's what we saw. Things like that, I realized even at a young age that it can give you a negative view of who you are.
Yes, it can.
It does. There's no doubt about it. But by having those black teachers in those segregated schools, it was different because they went beyond that and they talked to us. And they also taught us, they would tell us, you have to be twice as smart as white people, to be even with them. You follow me? And so those things stuck with me all my life. So when I went to New York at 10, they set me back a grade because they thought the education in the South was less than what it was in the North. At any rate, I was the smartest kid in the class then, right?
Yes.
And, but at any rate, I got to experience both sides of the coin. All the teachers we had in New York just about were white teachers, Jewish mostly. Mm-hmm. And, many times they would tell us in the classroom, if you don't shut up, I'm getting paid anyway. I don't care one way or another. Those are the lessons we had there,
yes.
Yeah. And so, again, being kind of on both sides, I had the opportunity to see both sides of it. And what I'm seeing today is a form of it, but I believe it's going to be on steroids this time around. There's some real serious things coming our way as a people. He hasn't been in office, the Trump administration hasn't been in office 100 days yet, and look at the damage they've done. And this is just the beginning. And it's got it at us. I mean, the National Museum, the Smithsonian Black Museum, have you seen what they've done?
Yes.
They're beginning to take information out
yes.
of it, artifacts, things of that nature that doesn't agree with white supremacy. Mm-hmm. That's basically what it is. They're taking it out of our history, out of the schools. They're taking it out of the libraries. They're trying to erase the truth.
Yes.
To keep it from their children, you see, because their children can't be racist if they don't have the lie.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
The foundation of this country was founded on lies.
Yes.
And it has survived all this time. And they must redo the same thing over again. That's what's coming. That means we're going to have to turn inward towards each other. There's a blueprint that's been left by ancestors, with the Wall Streets. You're from Oklahoma, Tulsa.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm talking about. They've left us a blueprint.
They did.
And we've got to look at that blueprint, and if what doesn't work, we change. But they've given us a foundation to start from, if nothing else. The civil rights movement was the same thing. Mm-hmm. There's a blueprint out there for us. We just have to teach our children. We cannot depend on anyone else to do it. It's unfortunate, but there's a blueprint for that even. Marva Collins, if you're familiar with her.
Yes.
What did she do? She started her schools up in her attic.
Yes, she did.
That's right. And she began to teach our children about themselves, about our history. And it grew. And it grew. So we have blueprints on what we can do. And I'm looking at that right here in Killeen. Now, unfortunately, the majority of our people haven't felt what's coming yet. And they're going to need a leadership foundation when it does happen. And that's what I'm hoping we're building, a leadership foundation. So when it does happen, they have someone to follow.
Yes.
Someone to lead. And we've got some good minds here in Killeen. All we've got to do is, come together. We don't have to love each other to work together.
That's what I learned from you.
That's right. I can remember. That's right. We don't, we can work together, but that's the biggest thing. We don't have to love each other, to work together. And that's what I've been working on, throughout the community right now, talking to people that I know have the know-how of doing things.
Yes.
And as long as they're committing and putting something back into the community that's positive, I'm on their side.
Yes, sir.
May not agree with everything they do, but I will call them out now when it's necessary.
That you will do.
I will do that. But so far, things are working. I'm doing a lot of things. I'm trying to do the Black business. We finally got the commercials out. I think I sent it to you.
Yeah, I seen them. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I'm working
definitely.
and that's working out real well. 5 businesses on one 30-second commercial. They thought it couldn't be done. Even the station didn't think it could be done. And we sat down and we talked about it. And lo and behold, it came out last week.
Yes.
And it's playing. People are seeing it. And I've got about 15, 20 more. I'm going to be doing 5 businesses every 2 weeks is what I'm trying to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Out of his own pocket, by the way.
Yes, and my time.
And it's time. So
it's all volunteer.
Yes. Yeah. That's the love that we have right here in our community. Babatunde, the Father has returned. He's here, and he's here to work within our community to make us better. And as we know, as he says, a lot of our story is being inundated by his story. But one thing was for sure, for almost 40 years, he had our story always on his bookshelves. You can go in and pull our stories down. And some of us that's still out there, John Nice, Jai Kilo, Shake, Christopher Michaels, John Crow, Lavina Sabri. There's just different people that has matriculated into that store where we pulled something off that shelf and read it, and it forever changed our life, along with a wonderful, lively art of conversation with you. I'll say this as we begin to wrap. It's not a week that goes by that your name is not mentioned. Just a week ago, I was talking to Shake. Your name came up. A week after that, I was talking to Arca Price. Your name came up all the way back to Carpus Cove when she was a little girl in the store. Like every conversation, and sometimes we're not even necessarily talking about you, but it winds up being about you. Oh God, I remember Babatunde when I was a little girl, and it was this book that I wanted, and I read the book, and my mom was like, well, we didn't come to get a book, and Babatunde says, no, you buy her that book. And I was the happiest girl in the world because he made my mama buy me that book. She so it's like I got one in on my mama. So but you have stories like that, just different people when they evoke your name, they evoke it with, it's a term of endearment that goes beyond love. And I can't describe it, but when your name is said, it's more than love. And because they felt at that time, and they still feel that, I can't even measure what he's done for me by conversation, if it was by a book. Some people have pulled me to the side and say, hey, that man's helped me pay some bills before when times was tight, or he gave me a job, to try to get me on to the next job. I mean, those are the things that you were doing in our community. And I would say to you, beyond love, I don't know what that word is, but I love you to that, man. Like totally, because you have shown yourself to be what our community needs, a father. And a father is a foundation. And I'm happy to know, like I say, I stand upon your foundations. I never forget where I come from. I never forget my mother and father, but I never forget men like you that has molded the clay as Dr. Rodney Duckett, because without you being in my life at a critical time, I probably wouldn't be here doing the things that I'm doing. But you've always pushed me towards this greatness, and I appreciate that, because you always wanted the best for me, and that is 100% I know. You're watching the Lively Art of Conversation, where we live, we learn, we earn, we pass along. We're here with Babatunde. He's one heck of a show. I'm going to have him back on again. I got another show with him coming up here in the next few episodes, and he'll be on to kind of talk a little bit more about something that he started. But I'm not going to spill the beans on that just yet. Join us for our next show as we talk about something that Babatunde is so familiar about. And this is, you can't even mention your name without saying he's already done it. But we're going to talk the next episode with Ronnie Russell about the Juneteenth Festival. And I'm saying Juneteenth Festival, everybody's laughing in the room because we know you were one of the originators of the Juneteenth Festival that was here. But Ronnie Russell will be here for our next episode talking about the Juneteenth Festival and things to come with IBCC in the community. You're watching the Lively Art of Conversation, where we live, we learn, we earn, and we pass it along. If you want to be a part of this show, if you're a nonprofit, or if you want an ad, or if you want to be an underwriter, connect with us at the Lively Art of Conversation. Once again, I'm your host, Dr. Rodney Duckett, signing out with the Lively Art of Conversation, where we live, we learn, we earn. My goodness, Babatunde passed it along.